Episode 60, Destruction of a Supply Convoy, April 1943. Again, a few days have passed without anything really happening. The reconnaissance mission planned by the leadership against the alleged partisans was not executed. The forces were needed elsewhere. It's going neither forward nor backwards, and I'm not sure what's supposed to happen here. Undoubtedly, the Russians are becoming increasingly active. More and more the areas in our vicinity are being tested by small advances. It appears as if the Russian was looking for a weak spot. Nevertheless, there are just locally limited smaller firefights, which usually cost the Russian more blood than us. The company chief has us report for roll call. Some news are being announced, including that again and again experienced personnel are sent to the homeland in order to be trained anew. So for the new types of tanks, it's also laid out that we are to strengthen our defensive positions so that the Russian will attack and bleed to death. Therefore, further anti-tank guns are placed into the defensive positions. Additionally, we're to prepare fallback positions for the Panzer V's long. Well, then there's finally something to do again. Despite the mud, all are in good spirits. It's going against the enemy again. The platoons are shuffled up anew. The distribution of the positions progresses. We take care of easily reachable dugouts, which can take in the hull of Panzer III and IV, so that only the gun barrel will point over the berm, and we offer little target area to the attacking Russians. Again, there are local firefights, but nothing that would indicate a large-scale attack. Nevertheless, we're alerted and divert to the south into one of the fortified positions. Here we have a small arc of the front line which, due to its height, allows a good view over the terrain in front of us. We're directed into position and wait for what's to come. The commander consults with a lieutenant of the anti-tank unit. Then we're assigned the firing sectors. Strong forces have been reported not far from here, therefore we're anxious what will be coming. The new radio operator has proven himself well. His name is Hans, is just 19 years old, and always looks at one with wide eyes when there's something new to tell. During the evening, it remains quiet. Always 2 men remain with the vehicle. The others are able to put their heads down in a nearby barn. At night, all lights are off, because the sewing machines are on site over and over again and are looking for targets in order to leave some greetings behind. I also managed to get a few hours of sleep and hope that the next day will then get the Russian in front of the gun barrel. At 5 a.m. there's an alarm. Enemy planes are attacking. We do not have any massive anti-aircraft defense, but the 20 mm anti-aircraft gun that's in position with us is creating a big ruckus. And therefore, the red planes aren't able to drop with accuracy. Machine guns are also joining in, and after a few bad drops and shelling from onboard weapons, the nightmare is over. Usually shortly after, the artillery barrages will follow, and then the tanks. And the dance already begins. I run to the tank and throw myself underneath it. It seems as if the world around me is going under. Impact after impact is letting lumps of dirt fly about and pieces of shrapnel whiz through the air. For an hour, it's hammering all around us into the ground. I can't imagine that we still have a coherent line of defense. The tank is shaken considerably. Slowly, the steamroll of fire moves further back. I didn't receive any shrapnel, but I can't hear anything. Something's happened there. I'm detecting only muffled sounds. Damn it again, that's not good. The rest of the crew is now by the tank. All are well, we climb into our seats. I attach myself to the optic and slowly swing the turret back and forth. The headset doesn't help either. I turn around to the senior ensign and yell that I can't hear anything anymore. He gives me signs that, with the hand on the shoulder, right or left, He'd indicate the aiming sector to me. The rest I'd have to decide on my own. A further 10 minutes pass when the anti-tank guns open fire. What they might have spotted. I strain and look for targets. Left hand on the shoulder. I swing the turret in the direction and spot a tank turret sitting in a depression. That's a good 1,500 meters. I better still wait. Then a second turret. Now they're pushing forward. I only hear muffled muzzle reports, but my ears still won't work. I'm still waiting again. Light artillery fire. Vision is getting worse. Right hand on the shoulder, I turn the turret. A tank at 1,000 meter distance. It taps twice on the shoulder. I've aimed and fire. Too high, short adjustment. Loader has loaded. Breech closed. I aim the gun. Hit enemy tank stationary. Now we also receive fire, and not too little. The anti-tank guns are well camouflaged, but we are, probably due to the elevation, pretty visible. Shells fly in our direction, but don't hit. Left hand. I turn and get a BA into the crosshair, which is advancing at a fast pace. I aim. With a bit of lead, the shell exits the barrel. No hit. The wheeled tank had made a quick turn. I want to try it anew, but in the optic, I see how a glowing dart is flying through the vehicle and tears it apart. The anti-tank gun hit. Not bad shooting. The guy. Now one can also see the infantry storming forward. Machine guns fire. Sporadic mortar fire pours over our position. We engage 2 more enemy tanks, but apparently they're lucky and are able to disappear into cover. Now the Russian infantry is getting serious and is coming closer and closer. We receive considerable shelling, but so far only small calibers. Then there is, indeed, a louder bang. We have anti-tank riflemen in the forward area. To me, they're still just muffled thuds that I hardly hear. Again, right hand on the shoulder. I swing and can recognize 2 Russians behind a PTRS anti-tank rifle. Distance is correct. Shot, and they're gone. I turn a bit further and see the Russians turning back. Apparently they've got enough now. I send 2 more shells behind them, then we let the rest go. The shelling subsides, the attack has been repulsed. I observe the last Russians and see how they're disappearing from the field of view as well. My ears are beeping, but hearing right still doesn't work yet. We climb out of the tank, and I try to understand what the senior ensign is saying. I still can't understand him, but apparently he's praising the crew. We take a look around and want to see whether we can help anywhere. It has been plowed up quite a bit here. The Russian artillery here also makes no effort to save ammunition. They're able to keep such a barrage going for hours, and I think one's always just lucky to survive it somehow. There, a field car races up, and a captain is apparently issuing orders to Senior Ensign Krugstein. He does not look excited. Slowly my hearing is coming back, and I hear, albeit muffled, the orders we're now receiving, something with pursuit and supply line. Quickly a 6-wheeler, a field car, an armored personnel carrier, and our Rosinante are gathered into a combat unit. Ammunition and fuel, we still have enough. Off it goes. Now I also hear the humming of the tank engine again, and the commander tries hard to tell me, or to shout at me, that we've been assigned an identified supply convoy of the Russians, which, according to aerial reconnaissance, is supposed to be located right behind the combat troops. I'd rather remain in the position, but apparently the captain wants to make himself liked, or he's got some neck pain. Be it as it may, we plow across the battlefield and often roll right over the dead Russians ahead of us. Wounded are also lying there, but we can't drive around all of them. Close your eyes and drive over. That's the motto. After close to 2 kilometers, we reach the depression into which the Russian tanks had disappeared earlier. We drive down into it, and the 2 vehicles are still sitting there, apparently abandoned. We receive the order to destroy both of them, since a recovery here in no man's land is not feasible. I swing the turret to the rear. From a distance of 200 meters, I first shoot the left tank, setting it on fire, and then shoot the turret off the second one. If one has got enough time to aim, once in a while, one can hit between the turret and the hull. The commander is happy, but for me these aren't tank kills, simply enemy material which is destroyed. We roll further. The six-wheel scout car approaches us at a fast pace from the right side. We are to follow it. After a short time, we've discovered the entire convoy. The security posts are quickly eliminated by the 20 megameters cannon. I'm awaiting permission to engage. I can hear more and more, and the commander gives me permission to fire at anything that moves. Shell after shell roars toward the enemy. Trucks explode. Supply trailers go up in flames. Horse bodies are torn apart. Men are either killed or severely injured. The machine guns are reaping a bloody harvest amongst the Red soldiers. There seems to be no more resistance. We pull up further and smoke out the entire gang. Here and there, shells are hitting us, but that's not worth mentioning. After 20 minutes, the slaughter is over. Here we've shot up an entire company's supply convoy. I climb out of the turret and take my binoculars. On the plain, smoke and fire, exploding ammunition and screaming men. Some wounded Red Army soldiers are crawling away from us. Others are whimpering, dying next to dead horses and the remains of their shredded comrades. No more resistance. Occasionally one hears the machine gun of the armored personnel carrier to the right of us give off a few bursts of fire. They're probably playing it safe or have instructions from the captain to clean things up here. The six-wheel scout car is still driving reconnaissance, but is only advancing so far that we're sure not to be suddenly attacked from the flank, or the Russian might attack us from behind. Unusual that this supply convoy was so close to the assault troops. Either they had false information or were very sure of themselves. Well then, we have little time, turn around, and it's going back to our point of origin. I believe that the captain would have liked to advance further, but that was enough already. Here too, being alert is always the best insurance. We get back to our basis of operation, and from there drive directly back to our quarters. Hearing is working pretty well already, nevertheless, I'll later go to the medic again. As soon as the tank is stationary, I'm instructed to have my ears checked. A medical sergeant performs a few tests with me and declares I should wait until the doctor comes. A little later, the field doctor arrives and examines my ears but can't determine any damage. I'm able to hear him muffled, and he explains to me it was trauma caused by artillery shelling, and I'd be able to hear normal again in a few days. Well then, all's well. Later, there are also some extra rations. Somehow one of the grenadiers has gotten some wild game, and we got a share. So a successful day, and the hearing is getting better as well. The next day, I can already hear quite well again. I'm with Schmidt, we're drinking coffee and smoking. The Sarge joins in. We chat about the situation here. I once again ask about the situation with our radio operator, but the Sarge waves it off. The leadership had cleared that with the commander. I should stay out of it. On one hand, Rosinante was my tank, but on the other, wasn't my tank. Yes, he's probably right. I probably worry too much. Most importantly, we have comrades inside the tank who know their trade. Everything else is not within my responsibility, and the senior ensign certainly has his reasons. I have to say, slowly, I get along with my commander quite well. He's got a view of the larger whole, and I have to realize that I'm not the boss inside the tank. We have to function. If I believe I know it better, I can certainly express my reservations. But I can't reprimand him in front of the crew. That's not good for him and not for me. But I believe, Gradually, we both know that we have to grow together as a fighting unit, and only one of us can be in command. Someday I'll have my own command, and then I'll have to get along with my gunner as well. The weather is improving, the mud slowly disappears. Good weather and good food boost morale. Let's see what the next weeks have in store for us.